This is where police have confirmed that 4 bodies have been retrieved from here. Of course, what is taking place now is that police are trying to go through the identification process to try and establish, if at all, the bodies that were retrieved from here are those of the 3 missing police officers. The families of the missing police officers have been brought to Pretoria. That's where the identification process will be taking place, and this will be at the mortuary in Pretoria, we understand. I want to bring in very quickly Brigadier Athlenda Mate at the stage. Brigadier, thank you very much indeed for joining us this afternoon. The story, of course, is still developing. If I could just ask my colleague Kwazi Manzi to show exactly what is taking place there. You can see there's still some forensics that are underway. There is more evidence that is being taken from the scene at this particular stage. What we do understand is that the families will head to the mortuary, and after they go to the mortuary, they will be brought here to the scene. Let me just get that confirmation. I'll ask Brigadier Athlenda Mate just to stand here. We'll have that in our back shot. Kwazi, Brigadier Athlenda Mate, if you could just join us for a second here. I understand that the families will be taken to the mortuary, and after the mortuary, the families will be brought here to the scene.
Well, as you can see behind me, we still have the crime scene managers that are here that have been packaging evidence that they have found, and they're going to be taking that particular evidence to our labs to start with the analyzing to try and ascertain what exactly happened here. The families have arrived. They are now meeting with the National Commissioner of the SABC, General Fani Masemola. They will then proceed to the mortuary to identify. At this stage, we cannot confirm whether it's our own that are lying in those mortuaries, but we will be relying on the families to give us that confirmation. But also, we had started with the identification process where we had collected the fingerprints of the bodies that we collected here. And then thereafter, they would surely want to come to the scene. They will be transported here, and thereafter, the National Commissioner will then brief and update the country and members of the media on really what we have found so far.
Brigadier, there's many questions are being asked at this stage. We heard from Brigadier Shadrack Sibia that a 4th body had been found. We don't know if there's any link at all at this particular stage. What more do we know?
So when the air wing unit was hovering around this river, they were alerted to another body that was found. It does not seem related to this particular case, but we are investigating. So our police divers have gone also in there to get that body out and to try and ascertain who this person may be. But we are still actively searching for the car. We haven't recovered the VW vehicle that they were utilizing on that fateful night. But we are still searching for one other female, and we are suspecting that she could have been the driver of that vehicle, and that is why wherever we find the vehicle, we'll hopefully find the female that we are looking for. So it's quite a difficult time with the families that having arrived in Pretoria, and with the team that has been working sleepless nights on this case. Behind me, it's actually some of the detectives that have been really having sleepless nights working on this particular case. And we need to pay gratitude to this team that was set up by the National Commissioner for really giving it their all. Just like in many other cases, I mean, some of the detectives that are here, they cracked some of the high-profile cases in the country. Your Thabo Bester and Nandipa cases. You had the Lusikisiki 18. We actually have one of the lead detective who led the arrest of the 7 suspects that were arrested for the Lusikisiki massacre. So just like in any other case, we will employ, the equal resources and so on. But it's quite unfortunate that we find ourselves where at this point where we are. It is really, really quite unfortunate.
All right. Brigadier Glenda Mate, thank you very much, ma'am. The police are giving us an update there. And of course, in the past hour, we did indicate that 4 bodies have now been found. The police do believe that the 4th body that was found here is unrelated to this particular matter, which is currently under investigation. But Brigadier Mate confirming to us there that the families of the missing police officers have already arrived in Pretoria. They're on their way to the mortuary at the moment, and after that the identification process, of course, will take place at the mortuary, and then the families themselves will be headed towards here. They will make their way to this particular crime scene. Police are still investigating. Remember, what we know at this stage is that 4 bodies have been recovered, but 1 is believed to be unrelated to this incident. The other 3 bodies, 2 of those were found yesterday, and the other was found this morning. We're talking about 2 males, I beg your pardon, and 1 female. But police are also still searching for a 4th female, believed to be the driver of the vehicle that was found here. Now remember, the vehicle that was found at the scene is not the vehicle that the missing police officers were driving. So at this particular stage, a crucial part of what police are still looking for is this vehicle that the police officers were traveling in. What we're expecting is that the National Police Commissioner, General Fani Masimula, he is with the families at the moment, we understand. That identification process will take place, and once that happens, they will be brought here to the scene. And you can only but imagine the kind of closure that these families would want. It's been a number of days now that these police officers have been missing, and they've been calling for some closure, trying to understand exactly what happened to their loved ones. You can see still here, we still have members of the forensics teams that are still combing the scene at the moment. We've got search and rescue that are still here at this particular stage. More evidence is being collected from where we are at this particular point. We did show you a little bit earlier on the Hennops River, where the search, these vehicles, as you can see, that have been brought in for this massive search, they are still here. We're expected to be here for quite a long time, and what's a confirmation at this particular point is that indeed the families of these missing police officers, they have arrived in Pretoria, and of course they will go through the process of identification at the mortuary, and then after that the National Police Commissioner, together with those families, will make their way to the scene here. You can see work is still being done by a very high-skilled team of police officers who are continuing to comb the scene, trying to find evidence. What we do know at this particular point is that there had been some part of what was, we understand, I'm not sure if it was an emblem, but something relating to a VW vehicle. Now that might be the first crucial part of the evidence relating to the VW Polo, which is the main issue relating to where has the Polo gone. You would also see there was take a look here. Now part of the investigation is exactly where this had been cordoned off a little bit earlier on. You can see this part of the road has been damaged. This barrier itself has been damaged. So the question is whether the car had been rammed over into this part, and I'm talking about the car, which is not the vehicle that the police officers had been traveling in. Another vehicle had been found at this particular scene. The VW that the police officers were traveling in has still not yet been found at this particular stage, but what police have been confirming to us at this particular time is that the search itself had taken place there at this Hennops River, which is here on the N1 in Centurion. They're still continuing to comb the scene. We saw quite a number of forensics bags. Some things, evidence may have been found here, which of course will be part of the police's investigation. But crucial at this particular time is confirmation, of course, from the Brigadier that the families of those missing police officers have arrived in Pretoria for the identification process. And after they're done with that at the mortuary, those families will be brought here. So at this particular stage, while certainly that may be, what the police, from that indication is that there's suspicion that those are possibly the police officers that have been missing for a couple of days now. But we have to wait for the identification process to get underway. There needs to be fingerprints that are done. And of course, quite crucially, these families that have been brought to Pretoria to come and identify the remains of those bodies that were retrieved from here. Remember, 2 were retrieved yesterday and 1 today. And then there's also another 4th body. That one, police are saying at this particular point, is unrelated to this particular to this particular incident. So as investigations still continue, the car that these police officers, the missing police officers, were traveling in, that vehicle still has not been found at this particular stage. But you can see this part of the road has still been cordoned off here. And I'm not sure at this particular stage you'll see there, Brigadier. You also have Shadrack Sibiya, who's the Deputy Commissioner, who is had his boots on the ground at this particular stage. And he's part of the senior team of police officers you'd see there with Athalenda Mate, the spokesperson of the police, who've been keeping the media and the nation updated about what the current situation is at this particular time. But what we do know, the families have arrived in Pretoria. They are with the National Police Commissioner, and that identification process is going to take place today. And you're also going to have them brought here to the scene itself. That's the confirmation that we're getting from police at this particular time. The families have been transported from Bloemfontein and brought here to Brigadier Mate. I know we just spoke to you, but perhaps maybe let me get a quick update, General. Any further details you can give us at this point? We understand the families have arrived. The National Police Commissioner is with the families at this particular stage.
Yes, what we can confirm now is that the families have arrived and they are currently being briefed by the National Commissioner. And then from there, the other process that will naturally fall is just to take them to the mortuary to just go and see if they can identify. Should they confirm that it is their children, then they will be brought to the scene to come and just see where the scene happened.
Yeah. Just some confirmation again. A bit earlier on, you did mention that there was some part of what looked to be a part of a BMW that had been found here. No, is that not correct?
Not a BMW.
I beg your pardon, a VW Polo.
Well, you remember that as it's a scene of accident as well. You can see part of a debris. You will see let's say a sort of not a wheel cap, but it has got a signage of a VW. But it is at the scene and it's still new, as you know that the car was still new. And then you also see that there is also a color that resembles that of a car, but we're not sure whether it's the same car.
And General, I mean, that's a crucial part. I mean, when you spoke to us a bit earlier on, that is a crucial part of what we're looking for, is the vehicle that these police officers were traveling in.
Yes, we're still looking for a vehicle, and then the other body, if in fact it is the same people that we're talking about.
Yes. And the 4th body that was found, speaking to Athalenda Mate just a few moments ago, so the spokesperson for the South African Police Service, is that there's a 4th body that was found, but that doesn't seem to be related to this particular investigation at this time.
Not at all. This one is a decomposed body that might be lying there almost 2 weeks now. As you can, it's smelly even now as we're standing here, so it's unrelated to this one.
Yeah. General, thank you very much indeed. Constant updates we're getting from the police here. Of course, General Shadrack Sibiya confirming to us once again that the families of the missing police officers have arrived in Pretoria. They're currently being briefed by the National Police Commissioner. And once that has happened, the identification process will take place. And once that is done, once they've identified, they will then be brought to this scene here behind me. That's the part that the General was referring to. That is the part where we understand what looked to be part of a VW that was found. Now remember, the VW is the vehicle that the police officers were traveling in, but that vehicle has not been found at this particular stage. That is going to form crucial part of the evidence. Remember, another vehicle was found here which is unrelated to which we're not sure what the relation is to it at this particular stage. So General Shadrack Sibiya confirming to us that the National Police Commissioner will also be taking the nation into confidence a bit later on today about what we know thus far about the investigation into this particular matter. But it's going to be a mammoth task and incredibly painful for those families to go to that mortuary and identify the bodies that were retrieved, 2 yesterday and 1 today, and of course there's the unrelated 4th body. But police are still looking for, let me then say, a 5th body. The 4th one is unrelated to this. So a 4th body in this particular matter that is being investigated at the moment. And we do understand that to be a female. That search is still continuing here at the Hennops River. And we'll certainly get an update a little bit later on about what the latest is pertaining to that. What we'll wait for now, it's going to be a very a private moment when the families will go and identify the bodies that were retrieved here from the Hennops River. But what we understand is that once that is done, they will be brought here to the scene. And I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for those families to process if indeed those bodies are identified as those of their loved ones. It's going to be very difficult for them to process exactly what has happened. But police still very crucially at this point still searching for the vehicle that the police officers were traveling in. A little part of evidence pertaining to the VW they were traveling in has been retrieved from here. But where is the vehicle? At this particular stage, nobody knows. Another vehicle was found here. Hence, police say they were looking for a female, possibly the driver of that particular vehicle. So we're still trying to piece together what seems to be an incredibly difficult puzzle. What really happened? What were the police officers investigating? The police are checking whether they were targeted. It's all forming part of an investigation at this particular point in terms of what really happened here. But we're expecting the next couple of hours to be incredibly difficult as these families have made their way to Pretoria. With the National Police Commissioner now, they will identify those bodies, will get a sense, a clearer picture if indeed those are the bodies of the missing police officers. And of course the families would have to deal with what is an incredibly difficult story which is unfolding now, as you have some of these forensic teams continuing to comb this particular area. They seem to be done with this area that has been damaged here. We're not sure if the vehicle that was pushed down here or had rammed into this area, we do not know exactly what had taken place. But at this particular stage, what remains to be seen, I'll ask my colleague Kwazimanzi if we could just move towards this particular direction, and then I'll show you where exactly parts of where the police had been searching. This is, of course, the Hennops River. We've managed to come towards an area where you'll see this is also still cordoned off here. Got quite a lot of media that are still, still camped out here. As the story is unfolding, you might not be able to see some of those forensics that have been combing this particular area, but I will show you. This is where the area that has been cordoned off. My colleague Kwazimanzi, from here right until that direction, cordoned off here. If you look towards that particular direction, that is the Hennops River. That is a point of investigation at this particular time. You're not able to see where the search is taking place. We've moved quite a bit far away from where they are at this time, allowing them to do their work. But you can also see here, Kwazi, just take a look there. That part, you see some broken glass, which is also on this part of the road. Where that comes from, or whether it belongs to the vehicle that was found at the scene or to the VW Polo, of which we've had General Shadrack Sibiya confirm to us they found something from the Polo itself that the police officers were traveling in, but that VW Polo is nowhere to be found at this particular time. So that's the update that we have for you. We'll try to get the latest update once we have an indication of whether that identification process has been concluded, and then those families of those police officers expected to be brought here to the Hennops River. It's going to be incredibly difficult for these families to come to terms.
Griselda, is there any speculation that the Polo that is missing could be driven by the police officer who's missing. They mentioned a female driver. Is it possible that that is one of the police officers? It seems like Griselda can't actually hear me there, but we will get more of an update from her a bit later on. As we know, the family are identifying bodies at the morgue. We don't know yet if they do belong to the police officers. And once we know more on that, we will cross back to Griselda, who'll provide an update.